Welcome to the Port Charles Update with your hosts, Mish and Mel. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I am good, and yourself?
You know what? It's been like a super stressful week, but what got me through today was a little cutie pie coloring.
Aw, you know what? I have to say this. I shouldn't act like it's shocking that I enjoy my own coloring book, but I have to say it's been really fun because sometimes I like to sketch and there's like a joy I get from sketching. But I have to
Yes.
admit it's been fun lately being um really creative with coloring, and because of the coloring book Instagram page.
Okay, so that account that she's talking about on Instagram is at cutie pie coloring.
Yeah, so when I'm not in our Port Charles Update Instagram page, I'm in that world because the feed is all art and it's super fun to be like drawing and being really creative with the coloring.
Love it. Oh my gosh. Now let's get into our world of GH.
Wait, don't we have another
I'm so
reminder for everyone?
sorry. Okay, so this is my fault this time. My kids have a life and I have to follow along. So we won't be recording on March 28th, which is, sorry, next Saturday. There will not be a
Yes.
podcast.
Yes. But there's one this week, guys. We're ready. I don't know what I'm going to do because it's like I write stuff down even though we don't record. It's so bad. Okay, we are starting with Carly's poisoning. What did you think?
For sexy poisoning.
Ugh,
You,
sorry.
you know how I feel about those two and the way she reacts to him. So this whole poisoning, like we have a parade of people trying to talk some sense into her, and I'm like, yes, 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 but she's still stuck in teenage land, and it's infuriating.
Okay. Okay, so even though like Valentine inadvertently poisoned Carly and I like the Carly character, I also
Oh, I
like
have to stop
Valentine.
you there. I
Uh-huh.
have to give an early star to Valentine's face acting when he heard Carly's voice through, but he was
Yes.
like, we'll just see what happens.
Exactly, exactly. So the fact that he's like out in the hallway, it's like, well, you win some, you lose some. And he's
Exactly.
like,
Oopsie poopsie.
like this is what's funny, because it's like I love Valentine still, right? I love Carly, but I love Valentine, so it's like I'm caught between a rock and a hard
Yes.
place where I'm like, just let him go. So like, but I got concerned, right? I got concerned because he's really good at what he does, very good at what he does, and for him to like accidentally poison Carly and then get caught at Sunny's and then later at Laura's, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
what? So at Sunny's, I was like, don't shoot. Like immediately I'm on Valentine's side.
Sam.
And like, when did Sunny find out or make the connection with Valentine and the pills?
I don't know. I was like, wait, why is Sonny so mad? And then he told me why he was so mad. And then he said a
Yes.
bunch of backwards, upside down world stuff that made me really upset.
Yeah. So like when he was like, because of my pills, I was like, wait a second. I know that, but how do you know that? Like I felt like I was in the scene with Sunny. I'm like, how do you wait, we have to also mention. Okay, so okay. You know when Valentine was looking at the passport
And my
and
name was
like,
on it. Yes.
yeah, so everybody was like messaging. They're like, oh my gosh, this is like a nod to like all my children. I'm like, I love that. I totally love that. What's embarrassing, and I'm so glad everybody told me what was on the passport, because what was embarrassing for me is I did take a picture of the passport, but for a
Okay.
very different reason. It was actually for a logistics corner reason. I'm like, it's because there was like full blown scotch tape
Oh my
at the
gosh,
passport.
no.
And in my head, I'm like, that's never gonna pass. Like it's like very visible, but I'm
Valentine made it
really
himself
so I'm really
with
happy.
Charlotte.
Yes. Because I'm like, imagine posting that like logistics corner. See this tape, guys? Weird. And everyone's like, no, that's not the most significant thing
Okay,
about the
so
passport.
all I cared about was my name was on it, and I was really happy about that.
Yes, so that's the thing. Also a nod. So Charlotte's name, his name, they're all names and nods to like that all my children world,
Yes,
which is really
yes.
cool. So again, I just felt like Sunny should have just been like, I think that Valentine is really valuable to them. Okay.
Yes.
I think that he has more value being out in the wild and connected to his contacts, because I don't believe that Valentine has a code, and when he goes sideways, usually he's being threatened, right?
Yes.
Usually Charlotte is being threatened, and it's why he ends up doing certain things. But when he has his own choices, like we saw, he chose a path. It was ELQ.
Yes.
So for me, I'm just like, look, isn't it easier to work with someone who can live in reality with you? It's kind of like when Jason came to see him. He's like, "Oh, is this about like me poisoning Carly or the pills that I did?" I think that when a
Yeah.
person can own their stuff, you have a good
Yes.
starting point, which would have been the great a great foundation for like a working relationship. Like when Jason went to go see him, I'm like, no, break him out. Come on, Jason. What
Come
do you
on.
mean
I
you
know.
can't? Like I feel like he wants to. I feel like
I
he
know. I
wanted
really
to,
do.
but Sonny has his reasons in air quote wanting to like not let Valentine off the hook. I mean, he even sent Jason
Yes.
after, I guess, Anna, after he taunted her, which was hilarious, like when they were at the hospital.
Mhm.
And she was like, oh, and then she got mad at him and like slapped him. And he was like, it's funny. I think she once again runs to go save Valentine's life. And then he sends Jason being like, make sure Brennan doesn't mess this up. And so, like, at first, you're like, whoa, Jason means business. He finds Anna and he grabs her arm. And then literally 2 seconds later, you find out that she wiggled free. So,
She got tiny arms. Like, I don't know.
but like, did she annoy him too much? He's like, fine, I'll go with you.
100%.
I'll
That's what
go
I
with
thought.
you.
Like, they didn't show the scene. She, like, all she said was, let me go. Let me go. Let me go. Let me go. You know, she asked him.
But talk about a line, right? Because it's one thing to, okay, so she's proud of the fact that I'm gonna try to sound like I know English. So I'm gonna
Words are cool, guys.
they are. Yes, they are. I feel like this should be a poster. And also a reminder for me. So I think that like Anna loves the fact, right, that she was able to, and I'm gonna use these words loosely. I'm also gonna attach air quotes to them. Convince Jason not to turn that to give Valentine a heads up like last time. And
Yes.
she likes to work together, and she also likes awkwardly to remind Jason that they have a bond, that they are in fact friends, despite how it feels. But in that moment, when he grabbed her to stop her from having what she wanted, she was like, "Excuse you?" She didn't really like
Hmm.
that. She kind of like
Nope.
Lulu when someone doesn't give her what she wants, she's like, "Excuse, like that's violence. That's violence." Except Jason did hold on to Anna's arm. So I feel while they have their cute little relationship, that feels like a little mini rift, if you will.
It did, because if you really wanted to stop her, you just had to lay one on her and she would have been so confused and happy.
True. If you really wanted to like, what is it? By any means necessary. Yes,
Yes.
you're right. That would have been a tactic, but just for her on her end, just the fact that he was willing to physically stop her so her ex-lover would be killed. It's kind of a big deal because she really doesn't want him dead.
Mm,
And why I'm pointing this
yeah.
out is mostly because of the blog post I put up. And I'm starting, and again, I'm just like honing in on these things because it's a little bit about what I talked about
Yes.
like people going back to their sides,
Oh
like
my
go back to your
gosh,
sides.
yes.
And so I felt like that moment was very much like, remember, you guys were not on the same side.
Well, like everybody going back to their sides really made me like use my videographic memory to go to a few different scenes this week that we'll dig
Mm-hmm.
into deeper. But like, you're in my head, So there was like two major ones for me, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe there's more for you. But when like Jason was in the room with Carly and
Mm-hmm.
like Sunny makes a joke, and I was like, what is happening? The magic is happening, but reconnected in a different way, like together in a room, protecting each other, but like
Yes.
leveled up for the age and the situation that they are now. And then that scene with Sunny and Laura like rekindling their friendship
Yes.
and their
Yes.
love for each other, I was just like, stuff is happening.
Yeah,
I was
that
very
was
happy.
needed. that was needed. I felt like that's a course correction that I liked, and I do appreciate how they are explaining things. You know, like I really liked that conversation where Sunny was able to explain, hey, when I was off my medication, I was acting a type of way, and it just made it so realistic. Him saying like I missed
Yeah.
you, and her being like I forgot we weren't friends. So I kind of like
Oh,
that,
yeah.
and they're using the medication as being like the reason for that sort of rift. So yes, they came back together. And you talk about another one. Okay. So this would have been really cool, except more
Hmm.
cool information came out in the scene between Valentine and Jason. It was a really interesting theory. And that's why I love Valentine. He's just so smart.
So
And the fact
smart.
that he suggested that Brennan is actually the head of the WSB and not just some like chief head or
Branch
whatever.
director.
Branch, I'm like chief head. I don't even know if that's a term. Uh, so that was an interesting fact.
Hmm.
But when I saw Jason go talk to Valentine, I was like, it would have been really cool. This is a bit far fetched, but that like
Okay.
Jason helped Valentine, right? Just be free in the wind. But also that like, what if Jason ended up becoming head of the WSB and that's how he finds out about Jocelyn,
Whoa. That is a long
right?
term, but unless he's fast tracked in the WSB, that would be so cool.
Well, it depends, right? When you're working with Valentine and
Hmm.
maybe course correcting some things, which would involve getting Brennan out of the way, right? So
Yes.
it's about kind of disappearing Brennan, which would make room for, let's say, a Jason. But I also love the idea of that's how Valentine survives, right? If he
Yes.
escapes and does certain things, then he could have the protection of the WSB by becoming head of the WSB since his dad was, right? It's his birthright.
Indeed.
Basically, I
Indeed.
want everyone to be the head, but I just thought it was so dramatic and fun and interesting if like Jason offed Brennan. And if you think about that, right? He he would be in a suit, okay?
Oh my word.
He'd have this like office, and I like Brennan's office, and he'd be like
Yeah.
sort of out of danger, but leading danger, right? Leading danger.
Leading people into danger.
Yeah. And he wouldn't have to ditch his son every 2 seconds.
Right. Oh my goodness. Hmm.
Okay. So, but they still struck up a deal, right? Jason is gunning for Brennan. And I loved how Valentine is so like sneaky. Like when he saw like Jason's weak spot, because I mean, look, Carly is Brennan's weak spot. That was really
Yes.
funny having them go back and forth between like Anna's your weak spot, Carly's your weak spot. I'm like, okay, okay, guys. But when he was talking to Jason, I loved it. I could see Valentine reading the leverage because he knows he has wiggle room
Yes.
with Jason, and that's the Valentine I love, the one who knows how to maneuver. Because what I was seeing so far made me fearful. The fact that he was caught by Sunny, caught by Laura, um, the fact that he accidentally poisoned Carly, the way that Laura and like Lulu were practically eulogizing him when he left
Ugh,
made me
yeah.
feel like they were killing him off.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm happy with where it stands now because there's a whole opening for him to kind of like arrange his own escape. And he was valuable. He was able to point Sunny in the direction. That's why I was like, Sunny, what are you doing? Like, yes, he gave you some information. I don't know if you realize, like, if you work with Valentine and protect him, he'll do it in exchange. Now that Charlotte is no longer, I guess you could say, in danger and he's not being controlled, he's sort of a free agent.
I know, and that's why I was really confused by Sonny's tactics. Like he's been somewhat more logical, but the way he chose to speak to Valentine about how
Yeah.
Valentine put his family in danger, he's like, "Well, don't you put your family in danger every day?" It's like, Sonny, you're in the mob. Did somebody forget to tell you?
Yeah, it wasn't strong. Like he did not have
Hmm.
strong arguments. His biggest argument is like, I don't care for you. Actually, no. His strongest argument was Spencer. Cuz I
Oh yeah,
love
that's true.
Valentine, and that is my one one issue with him was when he was literally gonna kill cute little Spencer. I still remember that scene. So basically, that was where he like meets Nina, and Nina kind of like hooked up with him once, but she ratted him out. Like she found out his plan. She like called the cops. She's like, yeah, like he's thinks he's I think he's kidnapping this little boy Spencer, and so she knew about that and like reported him. And then Sunny showed up. Whereas poor Spencer thought that like Valentine was like taking him to his dad or something like that.
Mhm.
And so I remember that even when like Valentine became likable, I really liked it with Nina. I always hated it what he did to Spencer because you have little Spencer who was really mad and upset over what happened and
Yes.
hated Valentine. And I mean, Laura was so concerned she had to send the kid away because he wouldn't stop antagonizing Valentine.
Yes.
Oh, anyways, but yeah, I disagree. I felt like Sunny, I strongly recommend you let this go. But then when he was like talking to Laura, I was like, yeah, that is drama. Cause he was like, I wasn't gonna do it because then it would have been like Rocco's grandpa murdering
Mhm.
his sister's dad.
That hurt my head, but yes, I understand.
But if anything, Sunny would have just been living up to the Cassadine way. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of
Ooh.
history Charlotte should expect with a Cassadine last name.
So true.
But I love that that Laura was really like astute to be like, "Hey, I've never stopped you from committing crimes before. What's changed?" And I'm like, I look, I like the fact that they made up, but like the reason why you're telling her all this is because you may not kill him, but you basically sent Brennan to do the job.
Yeah, exactly. You just want to clear your conscience right now.
Mhm. And so this kind of made me really upset actually. I switched directions there because I got excited and I was like, actually pretty sad about something. It made me really sad to see Carly like alone in the hospital. I was like,
It
this
was
is weird.
sad.
I
Isn't it
don't
though? Like seeing her vulnerable and like her hair in a ponytail. Like it was weird.
that is so funny. She's like, did you see? Like she was reduced to ponytail.
Well,
Just
like Ava was reduced to
oh.
beer, Carly was reduced to ponytail.
Oh my gosh, that was so funny. We are used to like the medical emergencies, right? Someone shot, something explodes, but we're always used to seeing like the whole clan, the whole family.
Yes.
And just in that moment for me, it was rough because it's like your brother works at the hospital, but he's in Miami. Bobby's not there. You know what I
Michael's not there.
Michael's not there. Joss is away. It's sort of like I felt the absence harder for the people that we know can't be, but just how many
Yes.
people weren't there, and the fact that like Jason was busy, Sunny was somewhere else, and they didn't know because with all her actual relatives not
Hmm.
around, it's like yeah, Jason and Sunny are her family, and she's not really married to Sunny, and that was so odd for me because I'm like, no one is there. Not even Elizabeth. Like I was like, where's Elizabeth? Because if Elizabeth was there,
Yeah.
that would feel closer to like her family was there. And the fact that Brennan was very much like, don't call anybody.
It's
And
gross.
then, oh, that really, really grossed me out. I'm like, please don't do that. And then the fact that this was rich, Willow not liking the fact that Brennan was restricting Carly's access
Oh
to her
yeah.
family.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm like, you think he's controlling to you? Yeah, you don't like that? Just like unbelievable, unbelievable. But yeah, that to me just kind of rubbed me the wrong way because it was just so jarring when you compare all the like, let's say, if you will, the Corintho slash Spencer emergencies. No one's ever alone.
It's so true, but what I really loved is what I liked what Lucas had to say because I feel like he really drove it home. But having Felicia there, like
Yeah.
they've been sprinkled together, and you brought that up. I think it was last week or maybe the week before that, like their relationship and Felicia looking out for Carly. Like Carly is always the strong one for her
Mm-hmm.
entire family, her kids, her like the people that she brings in as kids, but she doesn't have a mom anymore. And Felicia being that person to just kind of lay it out for her with her life with Frisco. And I'm on the same page between Felicia and Lucas. Like, I can't understand at this point in your life why you would choose somebody dangerous that is
Mm-hmm.
not Jason or Sunny. Like, why are you bringing somebody new into the fold
Yeah.
to do this? And then she had a little explanation for Lucas, but I didn't believe a single word of it.
No?
No. Carly doesn't fling, not anymore.
No. I guess the part that I bought was that she was caught up in this idea that he was attracted to her, that it was exciting or this or that. Like I don't know if she's had like a an issue in confidence post Drew. you know, I
I
don't
don't
know.
know, right? Like I get that, this person is like sexy and high powered and whatever is interested in you, but I feel like Carly can see pass that into more. So like there's still this like murky space of where is my Carly?
Oh yeah, like I had even written down at one point, like the role of Carly is being played by this damsel in distress, which she's
Right?
not. You're right when you say like Carly is not about the fling. I do agree with you. Mind you, she's had a little bit of encouragement, like from Maxie to just
True.
have some fun. But I also think it's maybe it is true that maybe she's feeling a little lonely in that department. Maybe
Hmm.
he did give her a bit of a confidence boost. Maybe there was a true vulnerability to why she's doing what she's doing.
I will give it because you said it, I will give it some space.
Well, I mean, because what you said about Felicia is true. Like, yes, I said they were throwing them together, but when you pointed out the fact that, like, Carly is taking care of a lot of people, we talked about this, about how, like, Carly falls in between the Felicia and, like, let's say the Maxie. And yeah, like when you said that, I'm like, it's so true. She often doesn't have that person she can like crumble to. And to have like Felicia
Yeah.
be this friend, but also have this maternal element of trying to protect you is kind of nice for her. And I don't know, GH has been pretty real on things, like the
Yes.
conversation between Sunny and Laura, and we'll get to that after, but also what they highlighted in terms of what Chase knew about Brooklyn's experience with Lulu. It's just these are very realistic details. Like we assume couples
Yes.
know everything. And so
Mm.
is it possible that General Hospital in like this story is feeling like, well, take a look, guys. Carly lost her mom. She then had this breakup. Jason comes back to town, but they're not exactly super connected. Sam's not there. Like she's not like everyone else has a lot going on, like Joss is carving out her own world, Jason's doing his own thing, Michael is not really
Mhm.
there. Like she's not in the fold with anybody. We've been saying this. What's she doing? What's her story? She's not connected to anything. Maybe that was the story, that she is a little disconnected, and that disconnect is what kind of made room for Brennan.
Okay, I'm starting to see it.
And I had sort of changed my mind or like a few weeks ago when I said I kind of agree with Lucas, and all the more now. Just this like there is nothing Carly can say that makes this make sense. Like we
Right?
said, it's Sunny was a choice you made long ago. And for me, I feel like, how could you do it again after everything you know? Like, literally, how could you do this
Exactly.
again? Not only just all the tragedy in her life, but what about the most recent one? What about the fact that she was not long ago in the hospital facing the possibility of losing another child
Yes.
because of people she found in her early 20s? Okay.
Exactly.
So, this to me is not the Carly growth. It's one thing to live with this mistake and you see it. And that's what's kind of interesting about the Carly, Sunny, Jason dynamic, is that there's always going to be this haunted look in their eyes
Yeah.
because choices they made so long ago have never stopped having an impact on the people they love and keep trying to protect.
Yes.
So I am just so like out on all of this. I'm like, no, like I love Carly, but I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you want to be Miss Independent? Pick another day. Like, these people, like, you're at such a different place in your life. The fact that anybody is having this conversation with you is ridiculous to me. Like, this is the conversation you should be having with your child and not one that your
Yes.
brother, mom's best friend, or your best friend should be having with you. There should not be any shenanigans. There shouldn't be any games. And when, and when Jason told her, it's over.
Yep. I could
I
not.
mean, we know that historically that makes her dig her heels in.
Yes.
I don't know that that's going to happen this time. I think her instinct is going to be to dig her heels in, but I would have to assume that this situation and just where they're at in their lives is more real. And honestly, I wonder if Jason's just going to threaten her and say, "You do this, I'm gonna kill him." Plain and simple. I'm
I
gonna
feel
trash
like
my
he
life.
should.
I'm gonna trash your life. I'm gonna go to prison and it's gonna be for you. I think if you're gonna play that card, this is the time. I gave up 2 years of my life for you.
Yes.
You give up
Yes.
this new guy for me.
Yes, please. I want that. I want exactly that.
Like, he wanted to make sure that she had peace of mind, and he's asking for peace of mind. He lost Sam his whole life. You know what I mean? Like, no, he wasn't with Sam, but it definitely changed the role he has in his son's life. You know, there's been a lot going on. He's taking care of Sasha, everything that happened with Michael. So I'm thinking, you know what? Pay up. If Jason needs peace of mind, then you let go of this guy.
Yeah, I need it. I want it. It must happen.
But
Oh
okay, so
gosh.
I
Oh
want to
no.
come back to what we were talking about earlier, this concept of everybody going back to their corners. In the blog post that I wrote, and I'll be honest with you, I was writing it and it came to me as I was writing it. I don't always know where I'm going when I'm writing it, but I think I was able to disentangle what I was thinking and what I think this leads to. Look, I know this might seem out there. And in the blog post, I did talk about Jocelyn being, let's say, the breaking point, but clearly the polonium poisoning was, and Joss
Yes.
discovering Joss might be the cherry on top of it. It might kind of cement that line even more. But I don't know about you. I'm starting to see like now Jason has a reason to maybe give Carly some of his attention. Like when Jason came back, there was such an intensity between these two characters. Like it was so
Yes.
palpable. And then out of nowhere, they were intentionally kind of like removed from each other's lives. And for the first time, I saw that intensity back when Jason came to see her and he was so afraid he had lost her. And if you kind
Yes.
of can even empathize with the fact that, like, yeah, he did not lose Sam so long ago where he walked in to a hospital room and had to say goodbye to somebody that was a huge part of his life. And so you can imagine that that's a little traumatizing so
Right?
soon after to just come in and have like Carly there and not being well or almost died. But do you think that they are maybe revisiting the unfinished intensity that was there with Carly and Jason?
I frigging hope so because the look on that man's face when he rushed to the room, him just getting there, when Anna said Carly's name, you need to get here. Like we know that there's love there, but we want to see the sexy, steamy stuff, right? Like I'm
And
ready for it. I've been waiting for so long.
yeah, and also just in reference to what the characters were saying that when they did it originally before they got married, they were saying it was kind of rushed and they wished it was done differently. Like it worked out. Like I think the montage that they created at the time helped us understand, oh, love is always there. Like it was a
Exactly.
montage and literally they
It
were
was.
just explaining it to us like, oh, the I love yous that look like they're coming out of nowhere, they're not. It was always there. And you're like, oh, it was always there. You're like, I see it now.
Exactly. With the
And
montage and the right music, we're in.
exactly. And Carly was well, the actress like Carly was saying, you know, like her preference would have been, but they didn't have this time, right? Because Sonny comes back like the night of the wedding.
Yes.
But the idea that they really do go into it as a sham marriage, that became real. But what ended up happening was this rush that it was real and then it just fell apart really
Yes.
fast. And you talked about how like we're re-cementing putting people back on the right side. So basically, yes, I do agree that they kind of re-put Jason and Carly and Sunny together in a room. And there was a cuteness between Sunny and Carly, like in the stuff he was saying. I don't know what you think, but the Sunny and Carly, there's like a sweetness and a cuteness to it.
Hmm.
But with Jason and Carly, there was like an intensity to it.
Oh, 100%. Sonny was being playful and light and like, so glad you're alive, but
Yeah.
Jason is like, I would die for you.
Yeah, he was like, I forbid you to see him. And Sonny's like, yeah, I called Carly's boyfriend to kill Valentine for me. Like
I
you know what I
know.
mean? He has nothing to say about Brennan. He's like,
No,
do
not
you,
at all.
girl, do you? So that's what was interesting. Even the whole like Carly talk with Anna, for instance, right? Like Anna's always like competing on that end, but this
Yeah.
definitely reinforced, yeah, everything you know about the place Carly has in Jason's life was definitely put back out there
Oh,
with
yeah.
like between the two of them. But what I thought was even funnier is that Brennan is like, no contact, nobody call her loved ones. And then Sonny calls Brennan and he looks at Anna. Did you call Sonny? She's like, no, but I called Jason. You
Jason.
know that part was so ridiculous to me.
So funny.
Oh my gosh. But that was like so much drama. So there's finally something going on. I just don't want to spend time on Carly being like, "I think I love him." I'm like, "Just don't, please."
Blech,
Ugh,
blech,
ugh.
blech.
But I'm looking forward to seeing how this conversation will go, right? Because like, where do you go after you forbid your best friend
Who's
from
like
dating her
50?
lover? Yeah. How do you because when they were asking her to tell this story, they like literally the moment she said I was in a robe, they immediately panned to Jason's face.
No,
So
no.
how do you expect me not to think you're trying to move in that direction? Because if he's just her bestie, why do we need to see his reaction about Carly having sexy time?
No, but how many times did she have to tell that story about her about being in the shower and hopping in the shower with him
It
and
was
having
funnier.
it was
It,
hilarious.
it was funnier with Lucas. So that's one thing. Lucas and Carly definitely bring the funny. Like, the things he can
Yeah.
say to her and just the fact that like I brought you clothes because to my understanding you were brought in a robe. Just a robe.
So good. So good.
Oh, and even Lucas telling his story. I met the man of my dreams and
No,
I
but it was the best. Him and Elizabeth, like he brings a good chemistry. Like it took me
yes.
quite a few beats to hop on board with this Lucas, but I'm here.
Yes,
I'm here now.
I love what he's doing with the character. And it's kind of like when we had Billy Miller come in and he played Drew and even no. Well, he started
He
out as
played
Jason. Yeah, he
Jason.
started out as Jason.
Yeah.
But I loved his version. I really love when somebody comes in and like just makes it their own. And this actor is definitely making it his own. And he just brings such a like. I just love the buildup of that story, and then it crashes. But I just expected Marco to walk out of the elevator. He's like, "Yeah, but he's in
Yeah.
Miami, and I'll never see him again." And I'm like, "Cue seeing him again."
I love Elizabeth's like, there's like no way to communicate, right? And there's like no way to get across. She's so freaking cute.
I know. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So posted, we posted just some little details about Marco, noticing that he works for JS and Associates.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And then when I heard that, because I don't remember why, I think I was looking for a picture. Like I didn't catch
Mhm.
that, JS. And then it hit me. Remember when like everybody comes back from wait, where were they? Anyways, from his compound. So everyone comes
His
back from the
compound,
compound
yes.
and they expect Sidwell to be on their trail. And then all of a
Yes.
sudden, randomly, we're like, he pops up in Miami. And I'm like, why couldn't he fly direct to Port Charles?
Exactly.
So then realizing that Sidwell had went to Miami and Marco, Sidwell, all of that. And then the actress playing Natalia, Eva LaRue, just posts on her Instagram page, me familia, with a picture of Blaze and the actor playing Marco, who apparently has known. Okay, so the actor playing Lucas, apparently they knew each other before.
Oh no
Like they've
way. I didn't know
acted
that.
together before. So they actually know each other. But I just thought that was so funny because like the picture was of Blaze, her with Blaze and Marco. So now I'm like, so Blaze is coming back?
That's what I was thinking. Like, okay, how is this gonna work? How is she gonna fit in with Christina now? Like,
Ugh,
interesting.
Christina's on a path.
It's not good. I know.
No, it's not a journey of growth. That's definitely not what
No.
that is. Um,
It's a journey of rage.
like I know that she's mad at Ava, but even I'm like, she
Come
didn't
on.
push you. like like I understand, like that was diabolical when Ava was like, I'm taking Avery to the play, not you. And I'm like,
Yeah, it
oh,
was
that
bad. It
hurts
sucked.
because you can see like Christina's heartbreak, but then at the same time, I'm like, but she didn't push you. Like she didn't push you. You pulled away from her.
Yeah.
She shouldn't have put her hand on you. But
Fair.
again, how has no one sued the Metro Court for their crappy
Crappy
windows?
windows? Thank you very much. Yes.
Because I've tripped, but the momentum from a trip would never really send me flying through a window.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, what do you think she's going to end up doing to Ava?
Well, we've seen poisoning this week. We've seen, a lot of guns this week. I'm like, what is the go-to Port Charles move? Like maybe she falls over the bridge and maybe gets amnesia. Like, are they gonna go full soap on this?
Like, I just don't know what the tie-in is, okay? Because I was
Mm,
shocked that Christina told Lucky about her dad. I thought she was just going
I
to complain about
know.
Ava. I didn't think she would have disclosed that. So it's like, okay, we know that Christina is feeling really unhinged about Ava, and they are making a point of showing like a lot of Ava and Rick at times antagonizing Christina. She happens to be the only one besides Natalia that knows that her dad needs to reduce his stress. I mean, look, I don't see Sunny going to be like, let's train you now. I think
I know, right?
based on your current way of being, I think you're ready to take on the toll of the business. Like, I don't think that's what's going to happen, but I could see how she could do something and not go to her dad because she doesn't want to stress him out.
100%.
Not that I know what that is, but she's definitely gunning for Ava. And I was just kind of surprised when Alexis just basically said, I'm not giving you a loan because of Christina. I'm like, why did you make that like hinge
I
completely
know
on Christina?
why. Yeah.
Um, because Eva's been telling everybody that like Alexis took her money, and then today we're finding out for the first time she actually understands how it works. Because
Right?
she's like, so you're not allowed to do this, and blah blah blah, and you can, and you can. And I'm like, so you actually understand that it was not Alexis who created that, who took the money away. But apparently she presented an offer that I don't know, maybe Alexis would have said yes to if not for Christina.
I still don't think she would have said yes, but I
No, me
think she would have
neither.
definitely handled it differently with different jobs.
I think she should have told Christina to leave. I don't think she should
$1000%.
have like egged that on. But I mean, like Ava also screwed with Alexis's actual life,
I
you know.
know, it's so bad. It's so bad.
And the fact that she keeps going to Alexis for like
Like, I
more
can't.
money, I'm just like, what are you doing? Because she's like, I need a loan. Like I don't know, go to a bank, go to other rich people,
I
go
know.
back
Why
to
does she
Nina.
can't go to the bank? Because her credit's bad right now, so she should do a private loan?
Maybe, but you probably know other rich people.
True.
Anyways, but apparently she's so poor she had to have draft beer.
No, but that whole scene, I watched it twice because I laughed so much. She's like, "What do you have on tap?" Like, I
I
mean,
was
I
like,
like
that's
beer. It's good. I drink beer. A good cold beer in a frosty mug can like be a great end of day situation or a hot summer day. But then when Nina comes in and that Nina's face acting, I could not. She's like, "Oh my god," or like, "Are you okay? Like,
I
is
know. Is a
everything
boy
okay?"
here? That's what she is a boy here? Is the boy having beer? Is there man around? I can't see it.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
Johnny is like, but she has that nice apartment. I'm like, no, she calls it a
She thinks it's a
shoebox.
shoebox,
And
exactly.
and Christina's like, and she can't even afford to support her own daughter financially. I'm like, yes, she can. She just can't afford to live like a rich person. She can't afford shopping sprees and maybe like really expensive restaurants for every meal, but I think she can swing it. I think she can take care of Avery.
Oh my god, the accountant with the credit cards, the pile of credit cards, it was insane. And then she's like, "How do I?" He's like, "You have to figure out your credit and respect your credit limit." She's like, "But like, how do I do that?"
I
He's like, "I
know.
will find out and get back to you."
I
It was
know.
great, all of
It's
it.
actually really funny because I didn't really know where they were going to go with this. You know, her finances, obvious. It turned out it has zero to do with the custody case, right? That kind of got solved. So it's kind of interesting to see like
Yes.
where are they trying to like take her. But again, I can't forget the nugget where she
Yes.
said in a past episode that because of the settlement she got after the fire, that she actually said it. There was like, because back then they weren't really talking about money in the way that they are right now. And she basically said that she had loads of money for like many lifetimes.
Yes.
That's why I'm like, dude, you had money. Like, don't,
But
you
here's the
know?
thing, it's the second gallery. It's the second
Yeah.
gallery that is not being rented that is sucking all of her money.
Yeah. But she could also ask like Nina to like, if she wants to invest in like the business, like the gallery. But either way, you know, Nina has a lot of money. She's helping Ava and she's buying her daughter a house.
Oh, Nina, God bless her because I don't know how she maintains these conversations with Willow. But I loved her reaction to hearing the news of Carly. Like, I'm hoping that she actually did
Yes.
go and see her off scene.
That's the thing, right? I was watching that scene. I was like, damn, we have come a long way because we have seen genuine compassion for Michael's situation. We are now
Yes.
seeing like genuine compassion and concern for Carly. And Willow is just like on another planet. Did you notice that
Oh
sometimes she
boy.
calls her mom and today she referred to her as Nina in the first scene, not mom?
100% when she wants to get away and trying to manipulate her. But did you also notice that she's still wearing a gosh darn ring on her finger?
There's so much not right with her. That's one of them. Like just every time she talks about Michael,
Oof.
like, so what? He's recovering from burns. So what? He almost died. Michael is nice. Michael is not like the rest. I think that he's going through a lot, but he's more than able to handle me shacking up with his uncle and moving our kids in there and being a family while he's alone and isolated with no one.
No, no, but like, oh my gosh, it was so hard to watch. It is brutal, but you also have to laugh because you're like, but how did you deliver these lines with that face? Like, good on you.
I don't know. Like, what if I were to say, one day I'll perform surgery because I know I'll graduate from medical school. So why don't I do it today? There's a reason why we allow the process to unfold. And like, even if just not for Michael's wellness, like, do you not at least owe him that? Like, is it that terrible? No one's telling you to stop dating him. What's super funny about Willow is that she values like this concept, and I say this in air quotes, independence. But like being
Yes.
independent is moving in with Drew, and not being independent is your mommy buys you a house.
Like, it makes no sense whatsoever. Like, oh, she just jumps from like house to house to house, this little one.
Exactly. And like my favorite was when Tracy said what she said to her. She's
Yes.
like, I hope you remember those words because you will be saying them into the mirror. And she will. She will eventually be saying a lot. There's going to be a lot that she's going to have to face. But there was a moment today, like when Nina was getting frustrated, telling her, like, you're going to lose your kids.
Yeah, like she tries to say it as nicely as possible, but she is not facing reality.
No. And I think this, to me, I was like, you know what, Nina? Let her. Like, let
I
her
know,
lose
right?
the kids because at the end of the day, you have a good relationship with Carly. You will have access to the grandkids. If this
True.
happens, if you gain custody, or Michael, let's say, gains custody while he's still away,
Mm-hmm.
then at least the kids will have Carly and Nina, and the kids are away from Drew. So I'm just saying, if she has to lose the
Ooh.
kids, let her make her choices. She's so confident in what she's doing. She says she knows best of what's best for the kids. So just let her. Like, she's like, it drives me nuts watching Nina do everything that she's doing, biting her tongue. And every single time, Willow repays that with complimenting how much Drew has supported her and
Yes.
never acknowledging how much Nina has supported her. And the fact that she says Michael's not the only powerful one, Drew's a congressman. He'll never let this happen to me. I'm like, wow.
Wow.
Wow, you mean to tell me that you have no capacity for choice or to take care of your situation, that rather than maybe handle this the right way, consult a lawyer first. If your lawyer is
Yes.
like, go move in with Drew, fine. At least you consulted a lawyer. But you would rather do whatever you want and just whatever the consequences are, Drew can handle them rather than preventing another storm.
No, I really, really like what you said. Like, I think that that is the, like if Tracy, Nina, and Carly kind of come together, have the kids, either back at the quartermates or wherever they need to be, and let Willow sit in that because that's the only way she's going to figure it out.
Because we don't know what's going to happen first, right? So we
Mm,
don't know if, let's say, custody will happen sooner than later. And it's not really a losing situation. I know that Nina doesn't want to see her daughter hurt,
I know.
but at the end of the day, like, she's gonna make her own choices, and if that's what happened, that's what happens. But at least Nina will have access to them. And I know for Nina and Carly, the whole priority is keeping the kids, or just, I mean, they wanted Willow away from Drew, obviously, but I mean, part of me is like, yeah, like there has to be some consequence, right?
Hmm.
That's a big one. Like, I'll admit, it's a pretty big
Mm-hmm.
consequence to have lost the kids and to just be with Drew. And like, what will happen? Or will something else be found out because you got Portia looking into his medical record?
Yes.
I don't know if she plans on giving him a disease. And then you have Nina in his safe. So it's like there's also the other part to it where maybe he gets outed. But at this point, if he gets outed by someone, I don't think Willow's going to care. If she didn't care
Same.
about the crypt, she's not going to care about this. And the fact, I like it was interesting, like part of me liked that Willow was all calm, like she was tired. She came off of the case with Carly and she was, having her little back and forth before it got like more conflictual, but answering those questions, like it was all happening very calmly to start. Tracy being like, do the kids miss their house? Do they miss everyone? Do they miss their home? It was interesting. Like I kind of enjoyed
Yeah.
that line of questioning and having that kind of like one-on-one with Tracy. But it was really Delulu when she was like, "Oh, Tracy, like, who are you to know what your parents would have wanted? You were on the outs at times." It's like, "What?" So are you telling me that like Lila and Edward are like, dig us up, dig us up? Like they're not like I just thought what she said was utterly ridiculous.
It was
And it's
disgusting. She's like, I know your history. It's like, that doesn't mean you were in it and you witnessed it. It is a version of history.
But even though, right? Like history is actually filled with a lot of things. It's filled with horrific moments, it's filled with fights, but it's
Yes.
also filled with love. And that is such a
Yes.
narrow way to view that. Like, because is that how
Mm-hmm.
everyone should see you and Drew through your worst decisions? That's what you're doing to her. I liked how they contrast that with that foursome in the house. We had Sasha, Geo, Chase, Brooklyn, and
Yes.
they talked
Bam
about
Jam.
Tracy, yeah, and we got to hear, how much her family means to her and how often she actually does go to the crypt. And you got
Yes.
that, right? You got that when she went to go talk to Drew. You could see the vulnerability there.
I really love that. I was just upset that, the sound noise wasn't working. Like, Willow didn't get to hear the part where
No.
Drew was being an absolute grade A jerk to Tracy.
But she already rationalized it, right? I mean, this is also the woman
Yeah.
who took her kids from her, so I don't think she's gonna offer too much compassion. Um,
Hmm.
but there was one thing that Drew said that I don't know how hard it landed for Tracy, but
Hmm.
when I mean, she took a shot, I knew immediately it wouldn't work, but she said, like, "Maybe you'd wanna compromise now that you're out of a lawyer." And then he
Yes.
said, "Unlike Martin, other lawyers wouldn't hesitate to take you down."
Mm.
And I was like, "Did Tracy realize that? That, like, as much as Martin and you kinda went at it, like, he wasn't doing what Drew wanted him to do fully."
Yeah, I definitely don't think she caught that. I only caught it now that you explained it to me.
And, oh, man, when the marshal showed up and I'm like, "What?" Like, I was
That
so
was
caught up in the
amazing.
shock, and it took me a second, and I was like, "Ugh, Tracy, Tracy to take me to this." And it was so funny, and I'm like, their little foreplay is hilarious. They're definitely gonna be hooking
Amazing.
up. But when Laura finally made headway, she finally makes headway with Tracy,
Yes.
and then Martin starts to argue with her. "Oh, you just be another rich family who" I was like, "No, no, Martin, no."
No, Laura's like, if looks could kill or scream, shut the F up. That's what those eyes were.
Oh, man. I mean, he was almost out of the woods, almost, and now he's,
Almost.
like, extra dead. Now I wanna know which ex-wife.
I know. Who's
I
super
wanna know more
scary.
details. Yeah, if he's that scared, I'm so curious. Uh, okay, so a lot went on in Laura's house this week. Okay, lots of stuff. So, Dante was there to celebrate the return of Charlotte, and then Lulu had a request
Yeah.
for Dante that actually I didn't, anticipate. How did you take the request to just be like, "I'm gonna take this teenage boy that I've barely spoken to and has demonstrated 0 interest in wanting to move in with me or anything. I want him to live with me full time."
It's like the moment she opens her mouth, like, I just can't. So it takes a lot for me to focus in these scenes. Just the minute she starts talking, she's a child stomping
Yeah.
her feet. And again, we talk about, the comparison with Nina that her children are her possession. And having them is not going to change that for her. She's still working on being an adult, but it really the fact that she cares so much about Dante but couldn't understand the impact of that question, the
Wow.
chaos in that kid's life, the hurt in his eyes and what he said, and saying that Dante could see him. It doesn't change anything. You can see him anytime you want. No, 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 ma'am. You, Lulu, can go over to the Quartermains when you want to slowly build a relationship with your kid to build up to that moment. It was painful.
Oh my gosh, it was horrible to watch. I was so angry, but you point out something really interesting. She's adamant about telling Dante you have a baby, but you're right. She completely bypassed his pain or the look on his face, understanding that he's literally grieving Sam. And that's the thing though, like, why now, dude? Because you've been home, you've been living at your mom's. You
Yes,
you
thank
didn't
you.
you didn't say, "Rocco, come here." You
Mm.
weren't able to, and I get it, right? That's real. I believe she does love her kids. I believe it was hard to settle into her life after a 4-year coma, much less with her daughter missing. But again, Charlotte, it's not, she wasn't taken by a stranger. And I'm not saying that makes it any less painful,
Mhm.
but there are such nuances to this story. And now that Charlotte's home, immediately you're like, he needs to move in with me. Like, it's not a good message that everything is contingent on Charlotte. Any type of attention, what you're able
Mhm.
to give Rocco, you're just reinforcing that it's not about what Rocco wants or needs. Everything is about your needs and Charlotte's needs, and hers come first. And exactly, this is something you build towards. Like, she's talking to Dante about custody as if Rocco is 7. Rocco
I
is not
know.
7. He, and even Avery is big enough to be like, hey, parents, like, are you guys gonna get it together? Because like this makes no sense. I actually want to share my time. And with Rocco, he's a teenager. And while Lulu may not recognize this, Rocco has multiple siblings. Rocco has Charlotte, a sibling he's missed tremendously, but he has a sibling in Danny and he has a sibling in Scout.
Yeah.
And all the dads got together trying to do what was best for the kids. And it hasn't been all that long. And so she knows all of this, and she could not have been more transparent. Like, we get that you missed 4 years, but you act like everyone else owes you because of that. I think
Yes.
she experienced something traumatic, but for a long time she felt like I could use Brooklyn as my human punching bag because her life is
Mhm.
perfect and I missed out on 4 years. And it doesn't work like that. Everyone told you to slow down and to manage what was going on. And with Rocco, did you even stop and think what a teenage boy, like how many would want, like what he wants from you? Like, how many times have you talked to Dante, like, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know this, but now you're confident enough to have him come live with you? Did you think about like what that would feel like for Rocco? Like, will Rocco feel like his mom is being controlling by just demanding that he move? Will he be shocked
Mhm.
to have such another big life event happen? Like, there's been so much upheaval, and the whole point was just to give him a little bit of stability. And for me, I'm just like, I get it. Lulu has the right to her own life, and it must be weird living in the shadow of Sam's gift. But
Mhm.
Sam literally put your kid first. Like,
All the
Sam
time.
treated your child like one of hers. She even had like a private joke with him,
Mm.
and you don't care that Danny lost Scout because her dad just is in his douchebag era, and you're comfortable pulling Rocco away from Danny when Danny was the one who sent his dad, his only remaining parent, risking that to bring Charlotte home for Rocco. And you would just do, like, that's what I was thinking about. I was thinking about Danny's
Mm.
sacrifice and then just being like, yeah, I'm going to take Rocco now too. Thanks. Thanks, bud.
I loved everything you're saying is like so bang on. And to like level up what you're saying, the fact that they paralleled those scenes with Brooklyn talking to Chase about parenting and protecting her son.
Yeah. Like, okay, so two more things about Lulu was the fact that she
Yeah.
said Rocco needs this, and I'm like, that's not
How do
true.
you
You don't
know?
know
No,
what
it's
Rocco.
not
What,
true.
yeah, it's you need this to feel
Hmm.
grounded, and I think that's Lulu, right? She loves with convenience, and she wants what's convenient for
Yes.
her.
Yes.
And what kind of shocked me was when she looked at Dante like something was wrong with him. She's like, I knew you wouldn't like it, but I didn't think you'd fight me on it. I was like,
Ugh.
wow, the entitlement that you thought that you would say something and that you're not married anymore. Do you not realize that? And
Exactly.
she just kind of assumes that he'll kind of treat her in that lovingly, you're my favorite, you're the star and the moon, and I'll do anything for you. He doesn't act that way with her anymore. He did, and that's why he overlooked a lot of the issues they had and a lot of the things that
Mhm.
she did, and she got to steamroll a lot of their marriage whenever she would get into these like shenanigans. And so, and I'm glad that he grew out of that. So this was interesting to me
Same.
because I felt like after his conversation with Maxie that Lulu would somehow get away with her behavior, and we're seeing her hit a couple of roadblocks. So even with Dante, he even reinforced this message with Sunny saying like, no, I'm gonna fight for my kid. I'm not just gonna like hand him over. And I'm like, guys, like Rocco, like can someone talk to Rocco? Like just
I know,
maybe someone should have a
please.
conversation with that boy in a way that's safe so he can kind of express what he actually wants and doesn't feel pressured by either person. But just that whole thing, like I don't find that Dante fought her. Does she not know what a fight is? He just had an opinion that's different than hers.
Yes.
And he
Yes.
expressed it. So basically, not getting her way is fighting her on it. And I just don't see it that way. And I was thrilled. Like you talk about like Brooklyn and Chase having a talk, like I could not have been happier because to me, I was like, I didn't want Lulu to also, you know, take away her relationship with Chase
Yes,
by what she
absolutely.
did. She already, I think, took away a lot from Brooklyn in that. So there's just so much nuance to this story, right? Because it's not as black and white as like, does Dante have a right to know? Of course, Dante has a right to know. But the point is, only Brooklyn can make that choice. And that's the idea, right? Lulu
Exactly.
could feel as strongly as she wants to. She could feel what she wants, but what Chase is trying to reinforce, because the thing is, if this is up to Chase, we all know that with him, honesty is the best policy. We know that if it was up
Yes.
to Chase, he would run and tell Dante. That's not the point, right? It's not about is this good? Is it a bad decision? It's that the decision belongs to Brooklyn. And
Exactly.
Chase is not saying this is the best decision. He's just saying it's Brooklyn's and it's her life. And Lulu stumbled upon this information. Like Lulu not only broke into Martin's office and found the information, she also made a lot of interpretations about what she found. And she decided that whatever she found was something menacing that Brooklyn was cooking up with Martin when that wasn't the case at all.
Yes.
She ended up divulging really painful information to Brooklyn. And
Yes.
and that's the thing. He's not wrong when he's saying you just want to hold this over my wife. You just want to hurt her. This is not about what's best for Dante. And I think you ended up reinforcing that when you said she didn't consider his grief, Rocco's grief, or anyone else. It was more like I was missing out on these things and I deserve this. And that's the
Yes.
thing. Like, I think that for Lulu, having Charlotte live with her, it's quite divided, right? Living with Charlotte, even though Dante said our daughter's home, like he considers
I
Charlotte his too, which was
know.
really sweet. And it's like she knows, right? Because Brooklyn called her on it about the way she kind of neglected Rocco. And a lot of things can be true, right? Lulu didn't manage her worry about being apart from Charlotte. She was really one track mind. And in all of her anxiety and grief, she didn't have any room for Rocco. And that's just how she dealt with it. Life isn't perfect. Just like, Brooklyn's situation, it's not ideal, but this is where we are. It's like a snowball effect. So I just feel like when it comes to Lulu, the Rocco, the Charlotte situation, is that she knows that if she lives with Charlotte, it's going to like amplify this gap that currently exists between her and Rocco. And she's looking for a quick
Yes.
fix. And with Brooklyn, there's so many layers to it, right? Again, we're talking about a 16-year-old, and I think that they did a really good job of reinforcing that messaging when Brooklyn was having it out with Lois, because she said, how do I know that how do I not know that you guys were manipulating me? Because basically she's
Yes.
saying I was young, you guys were the adults. How do I know that you were pulling the strings leading me to a decision? And that was really interesting because
So
they're
good.
really, yes, because they're reinforcing that message that she was young and that Lois was there guiding the decision. And
Yes.
right? So that was really tough. And even her fight with Lois, like I felt for Lois.
I
My
did
heart was breaking
too.
for her because, up until this moment, she's done everything she could to support Brooklyn. And I totally understand her need to have her mom support
Yeah.
her. And I know Lois was so heartbroken by everything Brooklyn was saying, but I was like, Lois, you have to take your lumps. I know it hurts so much, but you have to let her, you know what I mean? Like as a mom, you gotta let her dump this out on you, even though you
Yeah.
know it's not fully rational, but it was so hard. But it's just then Lois is like, she said some other stuff. I don't know if it's like Oh, she said, "You could trust me." And I was like, "But
Oh,
Lois,
stop talking. Stop talking.
Tio, did you remember that part?" And that's the thing. Now she's freaking out because between her and Gloria, they're watching how she freaked out just by this secret. And think of it like she's rethinking her whole life. It's had a huge impact, much less if they find out about Geo. And I love that Brooklyn verbalized what we know. She's like, "You were protecting yourself," because now that she's older, she realizes
Yes.
like, yes, your mom was there for you, but she's the one who kind of carries the burden, right? Like you were this kid, you made this choice. Your mom, yes, supported you, but yeah, and we talked about it too. The brunt of this falls
Oof.
on Lois. She was the adult in the situation. And again, I I believe Lois and I agree with her, what she said to Brooklyn. She said, "You are more important than all those people." And I believe her. Like it
Yes,
is
I
what
do
it
too.
is. She made the a choice she did back then, and that's just what it is. The Geo part is another story,
Oof.
another
Yeah.
story. But I liked her and Chase. I love that they were able to talk about it. I love that saying it was Dante didn't kind of like end that conversation because look,
Mm-hmm.
if this story was told in the past, the Lulu and like Brooklyn enemy ship, okay,
Mm-hmm.
it would never have included Chase. It would have turned into this, hatred between Lulu and Brooklyn. It would have been a secret Brooklyn kept from Chase. And then Brooklyn would have been the one who practically stood to lose mostly everything.
Yes, that's
That's how
so
this
true.
story would have been told if this was years ago. To me, what's fascinating is that I am so shocked. Like, because this is what we wanted. When Brooklyn and Chase got together, that was the point, right? Brooklyn was meant to drag him into the gray, and he was meant to make her a better person, you know? We
Yes.
wanted that, but we saw a lot of Brooklyn growing, but we needed Chase to get pulled in a little bit. And I think that it is consistent with what they've been trying to depict. Like the Brooklyn and Chase wedding was a big deal. Like it was a big deal. It was kind of like
Mm-hmm.
you're having a wedding and you were confident it was like one of those ones that are going to stand the test of time.
Yes.
And it was also like a healthy relationship. There was no major drama. There was only real life drama, like prenups, money surrounding it. And they made a huge show of like learning to be honest with each other and to work together. There was so much concern about how money and destroyed marriages and Brooklyn and all the marriages she knew. So there was always something very intentional about this couple to fight to be balanced. And I am just stunned. I'm stunned that there was this honest conversation. It's refreshing for the audience having watched how Lulu treated Brooklyn to watch
Yes.
someone love her, for her to share this with someone who cared for her. Like finally somebody knows what she's been going through. And for Chase to be like, "You had to find out from Lulu that you had a boy?" Like that is
Ugh.
devastating. And so when he went to go talk to Lulu,
Oh.
that was shocking. Like, if we just think back to Nina for a sec, like Chase has never caught Lulu in action,
Yes.
but he believed Brooklyn and he read between the lines and he didn't dismiss it.
I
Right? Like
loved him.
he was
Yeah.
able to speak girl because basically Lulu is running around being mean in secret and thought it was
Yes.
okay there, right? She's one thing in front of Dante trying to act balanced, but then super mean with Brooklyn in private. Of course, Dante did see some of it, but it's kind of like with Nina. It's like there was no world in which Sonny would have been like, "Hey, tone it down." And the fact that he did, like the amount of times we've seen this play out, and the fact that he went right to her to say, "Stop." Like it was just interesting the words being used. "Stop harassing my wife.
Yes.
Stop inserting yourself into her life." I'm like, thank you. Like, Brooklyn is not chasing Lulu. Brooklyn is not interfering with Lulu's life. And forget this big secret. The point is, she's been antagonizing Brooklyn before this secret. This is just like a
The newest
bonus thing. Yeah,
edition.
the newest
Mm.
thing. But you know what's really funny about Lulu? She
What?
decided to fight with Chase, even though she already told Brooklyn it was her choice. You understand that if Lulu was a bit more mature, she'd have been like, "Look, Chase, I had the talk with Brooklyn and I agree it is her choice. I don't like it, but that's how it
Hmm.
ended off." You know what I mean? But there's no owning it. See how Valentine was like, "Yeah, I did all those things." Lulu can't. What's so interesting, like, I mean, look, it doesn't excuse all of her behavior, but technically, on the Dante point, she had already agreed that it was on Brooklyn.
Exactly,
But it
exactly.
but it's just all that leftover cuckoo-ness, right? The "I'm so special," like, why didn't Dante just give me Rocco? And then the fact that she assumed her ex-husband was so concerned that he sent his partner to come and
I
keep
could
watch.
not.
I was like, "No, not even a little bit, dude, that's not what's happening." She was so stunned that he could be, like, mad at her or, like, upset for his wife. She seemed so shocked that Chase didn't see Brooklyn for a villain like she did. Like, she seems so weirded out that Chase is supposed to be the nice guy, the good guy. How come Chase is not seeing
Mhm.
Brooklyn the way I do?
It's that's what I mean by it's, like, hard to watch, and the fact that she's like, "Oh, did Brooklyn send you?" Like, "No, she
No,
doesn't
that's
even know I'm
not
here, shut your
no,
face hole."
no, that's not what she said. She went like this as if she was, like, discovering information. She's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Brooklyn doesn't know you're here, does she? And I'm like, it's neither here nor there. Like, it really doesn't even matter. And she's not denying any of her actions. Like, he says
No,
stop
not at all.
harassing her. Remember, a lot of what he's saying, some of it is related to the Dante secret specifically, but the other parts, like the harassment, the inserting yourself into her life, like, there's a lot. There was a lot that Lulu did. And
Yes.
what's really funny, there's a point where he's like saying all this to her, and he was like, leave her alone. No, this is what he said. This is her response to this. He says, "Stop inserting yourself into into her life." And she goes, "Or?" And I'm like, that's such a weird place
I
to,
know.
to go, or what? Because it's not like he said, like, don't tell Dante. He said, stop inserting yourself into her life. Like, stop, like, all of it. And sure, maybe
Yeah,
it includes the Dante part, but I just thought it was so interesting. Stop inserting yourself into her life. And she's like, or what? I like it. I
I
like
like
being
harassing her.
I like being in her life and, like, just making her miserable. I'm like, this is just so bizarre that she is
So
questioning
weird.
that. And even when he was calling her on her crap, I was like surprised that he put it together, right? Because I didn't know if, oh yeah, she did put it together. Brooklyn, she did put it together how Lulu ended up coming upon that information. But when she was
Yes,
like, you went through your uncle's file. He's my uncle. What does that have to do with breaking and entering? Because, like, if they
I
go
know.
ask him, he'll be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Did you let somebody look through your files? And not to mention he's already in trouble.
Exactly.
But it was such a flimsy thing to say, "He's my uncle," and you still did all of those things, like, you could catch it on camera. She took a card without asking, she's on videotape, like, honestly, Chase should do the legwork and find all of that stuff.
I
'Cause
told
and
yes, he
you
has
know who he should
to.
take that info to?
Who?
To Laura, because you know what Laura's main advice is?
Yes.
Turn yourself in. She gave that advice to Esme. She gave it to Nicholas. She gave it to
So
Valentine.
true.
So I say, rally the evidence, show her, and then she'll be like, well, Lulu, I think the best thing to do is turn yourself in.
Oh my god, you're making me so happy. It needs to happen.
Oh my gosh. Because look, at the end of the day, it's not just about like what does Dante deserve to know. Brooklyn's right. You can tell Dante, but it's a closed adoption. So even Brooklyn doesn't have the information. And she's married to a detective, right?
Yes.
And if they at this point don't see a solid way of finding this kid, why would you burden Dante at this time with that? But I do think that Brooklyn and Dante deserve to know about Geo, but then I question because it's like Geo, I mean, in theory, isn't it nice? You have two biological parents that you love and are
Mhm.
alive. But then I think about, again, not saying this is not a reason to say it because obviously the secret is going to come out, but like what this is going to do to Geo, because like look at Brooklyn. She's rethinking her whole life and every interaction because she
Yeah.
found out her grandmother knew. What what is Gio gonna
That
do,
poor
and how is
boy.
he gonna rethink the time he had with his mom? That's gonna be devastating. And not only that, to Lois, to Gloria, like all these adults right now, and who has the right to know, and blah blah blah. Oh my gosh, I don't know what this is gonna do to Gio. Like, sure, it's good news. You had a mom and who's dead, and you have a dad who's dead, and now you have two parents who are alive. But I mean, it's not that black and white. There's still a lot of pain that comes with
Exactly.
this news.
Oh, 100%. And then you have like Emma, the wild child. Like, what happens if he decides to rebel? Is she going to be the voice of reason? Like, how is this all going to shake out? I think, honestly, I think that Tracy is going to be the voice of reason if he does go off the walls. Um,
Yes, yes, and I mean, look, I mean, it would be interesting, right? I think it would definitely add meat to the Gio and Emma relationship. I think she will be there for him. I think she will. I think absolutely
yes,
if
of
something
course.
were to go down, Emma would step up for sure. Other small things though that happened. So basically all that commotion at the PCPD was simply so Cody can like witness Molly's pain of her parents right in
Yeah.
front of her. It was interesting the moment Rick realized what was going down, he was like, "She just got out of a long-term relationship, bud."
I loved his face when Cody put his arm around him and he's just
Yeah,
like staring at it like, why are you touching my $1,000 coat?
I know. He's like, "I am so rich and successful. I have no idea why you're touching me right now."
No, I totally love that. That was a really fun moment. And like, I'm also happy that Molly stood up for herself a little bit too. Like that Cody's giving her the courage. Like she caught on really quickly. And I like this like slow build to their friendship then potential steaminess.
Yeah, like I definitely like where they're going with Molly and Cody. I think Molly really needs to let loose. She needs a rule breaker. I will say, like in terms of the progress with Trina and Kai, she told them about Spencer.
That was huge and so sad. And for a normie, he handled it really well.
I know, right? Because remember, she also told him about Cyrus, who held her hostage, and
Yeah.
like Esme, who tried to kill her. And then she's like, "My boyfriend died trying to save me. What about you, Kai? Are you brave enough?"
Oh my
Because I mean, honestly, Trina is like she's not so much a normie, but I mean, like, honestly, she's like danger kind of follows her, right?
It really does,
Heather,
though.
Esme, Cyrus, like you gotta be careful.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, what else is there? Did we talk about all the things and
We
cover
talked
all
about
the stuff?
most.
Yeah, we did. I think we talk about the good stuff, right?
We talked about most. I will give a gold star to Brad calling Stella and hearing what he wanted to hear on that phone call.
That was amazing.
Oh
Um, I'm
man.
I'm gonna call out to sound noise this week. So Willow
Really?
not hearing, she opened the door, she didn't hear anything with Drew and Tracy, and then you had the moment where Sunny's in his house and like Dante comes over and like Sunny gets a phone call.
I know.
And then he like goes to his little cutout in the wall three
His
steps away.
his office with no door.
I could
Yeah, I
not
caught that.
handle that.
I caught that.
Oh, and I thought about you hard because we talked about certain moments being the end all of relationships. Well, Brennan was so sad, and he was by Carly's bedside. And what did he choose to talk about? The plumbing moment.
I just
I was like, is
I
this really happening?
like, it's too much. Like, for a guy
Oh,
who wants to live in the mystery, who's suddenly in love with her, and he's like, "Don't call any of her family. She might wanna date them again." Like, you know what I mean? Like, Sunny just it was just like, I
yeah.
didn't like that. It freaked me out. Like, I don't know if that's
It
just
did. It
protocol,
did.
but I didn't like the way that he was like, "Don't tell anyone in Carly's lives." I'm like, "She does have a kid, right?" And it was important that they knew so that Sunny could take Avery. Like, what are you doing, man?
I know exactly. There's like a child involved. Like, yeah, that was super messed up.
Yeah, not a fan, not a fan of that right now. And I want to point to this. I don't know if it means anything, but I'd said it in the past that I think something about Sasha and maybe witnessing what Gio will go through will play a part in maybe her deciding to disclose who the baby's father is. And I saw them having bonding moments. So I'm curious if that will end up being the case, that whatever goes on with Gio will be what influences what Sasha will do next regarding
Oh,
people knowing
yeah.
about the father.
Yeah, I like that. There's such a I can't even remember who's this week or last week, maybe it was this week. The fact that they feel so like, it's their chosen family and they feel a part of like this bigger than
Yeah.
themselves home of love. Like it's adorable.
Yeah, it's very sweet.
Any favorite lines?
Um, crap. I
That's
don't
okay.
think
That's
so. I don't
okay.
think so. But it was pretty good this week, wasn't it?
Oh my gosh, it was so jam packed this week. I think my favorite
Yes,
one, or
that's
at least
it.
I remember because it was today, It was when Valentine and Alexis were together, and he's like, "Sorry, we couldn't have a meeting at the island." She's like, "Oh, I don't miss the crowd chambers and the bottomless pits."
Yes, that was good. Basically, lines between them, I would say lines that were exchanged between Lucas and Carly were funny. I don't remember any specifically, but I know that they were. And I enjoyed
They
it
were
so
super
far.
funny, and a huge. I don't even know what we should name the star. It's like the cutie pie star, just the cute star of like Elizabeth and Lucky. Like I
Yes,
cannot
100%.
get enough of them. Give me more.
100%. That was a fun surprise. Did not expect being so in love with that whole thing.
Yeah, right? Oh my gosh. Okay, so stars to everybody. Everybody go to Cutie Pie Coloring, get yourself a coloring book. We're not going to be here next week, but listen to us on when you listen to us on Saturday. And that's a wrap.
Listen whenever you listen. We're gonna post, blog,
Tell your
do
friends.
you. Yes. Tell your friends we're not available next week.
Tell your friends to listen.
Don't listen next week, but listen the other time. Listen to the other episodes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, folks, that's a wrap. Have a fantastic weekend.
Bye.
Bye.